I'm very excited for our next speaker. I met Kimmy actually through the community here with Carl Detman. Is Carl in the room? Carl leads a festival called Family Reunion, and it was in Austin in October. And there was this secret erotic workshop that was at midnight that was like kind of on the down low. And I was like, what is this? And I was a little curious, and so I went to just go check it out. And the level of safety and clarity that she set in that space, it was so powerful because it was so clean. And so I wanted to have Kimmy come here and speak because I believe that our body is such a tool for our evolution. And so Kimmy Inch is here to enroll all of you into drinking the kinky Kool-Aid. And she is a renowned expert on intimacy, conscious kink, and unlocking your body's untapped erotic energy. With over 2 decades of experience in training from top mentors in Tantra, conscious kink, and sacred sexuality, Kimmy has helped thousands of clients around the world embody their most powerful selves. She's been featured on prestigious platforms such as the Oprah Winfrey Network, South by Southwest, Princeton University, and many more. Her erotic wisdom and hits of humor make her workshops, in-person events, and books a must-have if you're curious about tapping into Eros energy. Without further ado, please welcome Kimmy Inch.
Such a good boy, Alex. Isn't he a good boy? Yes. Thank you so much. I love you. Let's all take a deep breath. Where would your mind go? No. Where would your heart go if I were to tell you that there are these altered states of consciousness that could open the door to creating the life of your dreams, and that it could be accessed not through plant medicine, okay, not through MDMA or psychedelics or ketamine, but through your own eroticism. That there are these non-ordinary states of consciousness that shifts worlds and transcends therapy. It transcends language. It drops you into the truth of your beingness. It's an amazing pattern interrupter, and it actually strengthens your nervous system. And we all have it right now in this very moment. What if I were to tell you that you're actually sitting on the key to healing, growth, and expansion? Like you're literally sitting on it right now. Yes, no, not the chair, not the chair. We'll get to that in a minute. Hello, I'm Kimmy Inch. I'm a professional dominatrix. I'm a sex-positive edutainer. I'm a trauma-informed somatic therapist. And I'm a motivational spanker. And I fucking love kink. People ask me, how did you become a dominatrix? And I tell them it all started when I was 10 years old. I was watching an R-rated movie called Basic Instinct with my mom. And that movie is, right, it's great, right? But it's also really sexually violent. And there was this really sexually violent scene happening in the movie. And my mom turns to me and she says, "You shouldn't be watching this." What happened in that moment is that my heart started racing, my stomach was flip-flopping, I'm sweating, my genitals are tingling, like all of these chemicals are releasing into my body, and I remember thinking to myself, fuck, it feels good doing things we're not supposed to do. Fast forward, I'm in high school with my first boyfriend ever, and I start having sex for the first time. And probably about 3 times in, I think to myself, is this it? So I'm like, let's get creative, like, I know, why don't we dress up and pretend we're different people? Why don't we tie each other up? Why don't we slap each other? And my boyfriend, he's like 16 years old at the time. He's just happy to have sex at all. He's like, why do you need all this weird shit? And I didn't know why. I just knew I wanted more. I knew there was more. So fast forward again, 2002, about 20 years ago, I'm a DJ in Tokyo, and I start getting asked to DJ at fetish parties. So I'm at my first ever fetish party DJing, and everything clicks into place. I just witnessed the spectacle that's happening in front of me. The clothing, the imagination, the vulnerability, the spanking, the realness, the pleasure. And I realize in that moment, shit, I guess I'm kinky. So I met a bunch of women who were dominatrixes. They took me under their wing, and I'm like, I want to be a dominatrix. This sounds awesome. I'm going to get paid $300 an hour. I don't have to take off my clothes. I don't have to have sex with anyone. I get to be the boss. I'm going to be a queen. People are going to do what I want them to do. Oh, I mean, that sounds great, right? I mean, that was my very limited perception of what kink was based on what I saw in the media. Years later, I'm doing really deep inner work on myself, and I'm seeing a somatic therapist. And I remember this one day, she looks me dead in the eyes, and she's like, you know the work you're doing is actually really healing? Like, you're more than a dominatrix, you're a healer. Do you know that? And I realized that I was doing more than just leading my clients through their fantasies. I was creating this safe space for them to express themselves in the way that is so vulnerable that a human can express themselves. And I was not only accepting them for who they were, but I was celebrating them and celebrating their desires and their boundaries. My dungeon was a place for healing. So I saw an opportunity because I'm seeing people in this way that no one sees them. Their partners don't see them this way, their families, their friends. They don't even tell their therapists about this side of themselves. Like, that's how deep the shame is with our desires. So I went back to school. I wanted to study somatic therapy. I wanted to understand the body and energy. And what I learned is that we need to go beyond just the mind and actually feel something. We need visceral bodily experiences to create change. That if most of our trauma happens in relational experiences, that means our healing needs to happen in positive relational experiences. And that human contact is absolutely vital to rewriting our limiting beliefs and rewiring our brains. So I was also introduced to Tantra. Tantra is amazing. It's also very body-focused. It's all an emphasis around breath, movement, sound. And I was moving from trauma-informed care into pleasure-informed care. And I was creating these experiences for my clients and my play partners where they could expand and have these euphoric states where they could actually come back to wholeness. So this is my life's passion. This is my life's work. This is why I'm here to talk to you all today, to share this with you, to invite people like you into seeing what is possible in our erotic lives, to help you love yourself a little bit more, to release just a little bit more shame, to teach you that when we're in healthy alignment with our sexuality, it ripples into every aspect of our lives, and to teach you how to be the doms of your own life. Do you feel good about that? Yes. Awesome. So what is kink? Let's get oriented here. If you Google kink, it says it's the unconventional in sex. I fucking hate that definition. It's so vague. So I created a definition that's inspired from Jaya Ma, who created the erotic blueprints. And how I describe it is that kink is being turned on by the taboo. So you're turned on by whatever you consider to be taboo. And especially whatever your culture, your religion, or what society thinks is taboo. And it's that taboo nature that creates the thrill and the juice. It's like that electricity of being naughty. It's doing the things we shouldn't be doing. Like, that is the juice of kink. And there is this quote that I love that I think fits really perfectly with this by a famous director named John Waters. He says, "I'm so glad I was born Catholic because sex will always be dirty for me." I fucking love that. You know, because he actually acknowledges, right? He acknowledges where his shame comes from. It comes from his programming of what he learned in the Catholic Church. No sex before marriage, no kinky sex, no gay sex, that's for fuck sure. And he was like, but there's something that makes it even more thrilling now. So he's not going to actually let his shame hold him back from pleasure. It actually empowers him and gives him more pleasure. And, you know, he takes his shame. This isn't even an authentic human emotion. We learn shame. We're taught shame. So he uses that in order to empower himself, to evolve the taboo and transmute pain into pleasure, because that's what kink is, transmutation. When I talk about kink, I also want to let you know, specifically the kind of kink I'm using in my sessions is called conscious kink, which is a little bit different because conscious kink has a high level of intention to it. It's not just a slap and a tickle. So there's intention behind it, and there's an emphasis that intimacy and connection has more value than the experience. So that's a really important component. And I just want people to know, because people are like, oh, what's wrong with regular sex, you know? And I'm like, nothing's wrong with traditional or vanilla sex, but what is vanilla sex? To me, how I think of vanilla sex is it's functional sex. So if you want to have a baby or if you want to have an orgasm, cool, you got functional sex. I love babies and orgasms. I mean, I shouldn't say that together, but I do love them separately, and that's great, cool. Have all the vanilla sex you want. But it doesn't really lend itself to being explorative. You know, it doesn't really create this opportunity to really awaken the spirit within you. So that's why I use conscious kink, sacred sexuality, tantra, to awaken a person's spirit within them and to create an opportunity for them to have these expanded euphoric states that are very similar to medicine journeys. They're a little bit different, though, you know, because you're not actually taking something in order to achieve that state. There's a lot of components that need to be present, but you're basically teaching people to access their own internal medicine called eros, which creates the same thing as MDMA, mushrooms, etc. And eros is a Greek word that means sexual energy, but it's more than sexual energy. Like, eros is our life force energy. Eros is our power, it's our creativity, it's our vitality, it's our aliveness. And when you teach people that they have internal medicine that they can access to reach these states of expansion and transcendence, like anything is possible. They can manifest anything in their lives. And it's very similar to medicine journeys. You know, you can have these like dom space, subspace, like really expanded states where you're clearing blocks or your perception's being shifted so you can see the truth. You are feeling a sense of unconditional love and pleasure. You're having an experience of oneness. You're seeing the face of God. So much more. But it's different because with the erotic, there's this relational component that's really, really important. The relationship you have with your partner and the relationship you have with yourself. Because whether you trust or feel safe or feel danger, if you take enough of a plant, you're going to get blasted off into another stratosphere. And it doesn't work like that with the erotic. Like, there has to be some foundations laid. So that takes communication. That takes a full body engagement. That takes attunement to self and to your partner, and it takes trust. So people have to learn these skills in order to get to those states. And then we start learning that our fantasies and our desires aren't indulgences. Like, we actually want to learn what are your desires and fantasies, and how do they point us into the direction of being able to reclaim yourself. And I would love to try something with you. Y'all want to play? If you want to play, say yes, mistress. Great. So if you're down to play, I would love for you to just get comfortable in your chair and close your eyes. And you don't have to. It's an invitation that you are welcome to decline. So, closing your eyes, I want you to shift your focus from me to your own body and find your breath. Take a deep inhale in through the nose. Let out a sigh. 2 more times. Deep inhale. Let out a sigh. Biggest breath of the day. Keeping your eyes closed, I would love for you to scan your body, starting with the very top of your head, the crown, and move slowly down and notice what you're feeling in your body. What are the physical sensations and what are the emotions you're feeling? And just notice, be with wherever you're at. And I invite you to bring your attention to your pelvis energy, your pelvic region. See if you can relax your body even more. And I invite you to feel into an ultimate erotic fantasy. I want you to think about if there's a fantasy that you've always had, maybe it's always been with you, or maybe it's just something that organically bubbles up in this moment. But I would love for you to just breathe into that. And I want to remind you all that erotic fantasies don't have to include nudity, genitals, or penetrative sex at all, okay? So keeping your eyes closed, I want you to see if you can take the risk and really dropping into that place. What, if you could have it your way, what would you create for your own erotic fantasy of your lifetime? Like, who's there? What's happening? What are you doing? What's being done? How does it feel? Just give yourself a moment to really visualize and feel that moment. And notice if your body's energy has shifted at all, keeping your eyes closed. Can you notice the energy in this room has shifted? So, keeping your eyes closed, I want to ask your body one last question. What do you think you could gain if you could actualize your ultimate fantasy in a way that was safe, loving, and empowering? What could that do for you? Taking a deep breath. Let out some sound. And I ask you to gently bring your attention back to me. Good job, you kinky motherfuckers. I like it. Do you want a little bit more? You say yes, mistress, if you want more. Thank you, thank you. So what does this actually look like? How do we use the erotic to up-level our lives? So earlier I was poking fun, that you have the key that you're sitting on. So yeah, it's not your chair. You have the key and you're actually sitting on it. So let's think of a playful example that's kinky, like spanking. So a lot of people think about spanking as something that 2 consenting adults could use as an erotic punishment. Or spanking could be used to exert dominance over another person. So that could definitely be a part of spanking in an erotic setting, consensual with adults. But in Conscious Kink and the work that I'm doing, we want to go much deeper. So I like to use spanking first and foremost as a way of getting my partner out of their head and into their bodies, because you're probably not going to be thinking about that meeting next week if you're getting a good spanking. At least I hope you're not. But I use impact play and sensation play to move energy in my partner's body. If I'm spanking someone on their ass, it's bringing blood and energy down to the nether regions. And because of the close proximity to the genitals, there's more sensitivity that could lead to more arousal and even a heightened sense of climax. Also, when I'm spanking my partner, all these pleasure hormones are being released into their bodies: serotonin, oxytocin, adrenaline, dopamine. It's like chemical cocktail that's sending them off into other stratospheres. I could also be really tantric about it. I could tell my partner, This is my heart chakra, and my hands and arms are just an extension of my heart. So when I'm spanking your ass, I'm actually activating your root chakra, which is connected to your sense of security, wealth, money, and trust, and we can use it as a form of manifestation. And I don't have to use it as a punishment at all. It doesn't have to even be painful. But if I were to punish someone, how I would do it is I would say, I'm going to punish you. Do you know why? Because I bet there's been times in your life that you stood in the way of your own pleasure. I'm going to punish you because I bet there's a time in your life when you didn't think you were enough. I'm going to punish you for any time you ever thought you were anything less than incredibly beautiful and amazing and brilliant. And it's not me that's spanking you. It's your higher self that's spanking you. I'm just the messenger. And actually, I'm not spanking you at all. I'm awakening you to the truth. See the difference? Yeah. Somebody liked that. Sammy, you liked that, didn't you? Yes, mistress. I just like it so much. I want to tell you a story that's really near and dear to my heart. I had this client, I'm going to call him Malik to conceal his identity. And Malik, he lives in the United States, but he was born and raised in Egypt and came from a Muslim culture. He's a very successful doctor, but when he came to me, he was ready to give up on life. And he had been in a sexless, arranged marriage for over 10 years, and he had been carrying shame around a fantasy that he remembers having since he was a kid. The focus of his fantasy was being kidnapped, being tied up, being humiliated, and being forced to do whatever powerful women who enslaved him wanted him to do, what they wanted him to do. You get it. So he had so much disgust and self-loathing and hatred for himself because of this fantasy, because of his Muslim culture. He thought that it was so bad and so wrong to have these things, and he didn't want to be alive anymore. So he was like, I am on death's door. I have nothing to lose. I'm going to do something radical. So he reaches out to me, and we start working together. And we're working together, and I'm helping him through his shame, and I'm helping him understand his fantasies more. And at a certain stage, eventually we get to this point where we co-create a session together to actually play out his lifelong fantasy for the first time. I'm going to play that video right now. Just kidding. Everyone's like... So... after the session, he actually had this download from Source that made him realize, like, oh shit, I actually have been eroticizing the victimhood and powerlessness I have been feeling my entire life. And I don't want to do that in my real life anymore. So I said, how about in our next scene, you actually ask for everything you want? Like, in the session, he asked for everything. So he asked to be tied up. He asked to be teased. He asked to be spanked. He asked for every single thing, and he got every single thing he wanted. And after that session, he was like, fuck, if I can do that here, I can do it anywhere. If I'm actually courageous enough to speak my desires out loud and ask for what I want, I can be met not just in this playroom, but in life. And we worked together for 6 months. He was a completely different man after that. And I love him so much, so proud of him. But that's why I fucking love this work so much. Because you guys, the expansion is just the icing on the cake, but the cake is like trusting yourself again and learning how to communicate your desires and connecting to your desires in a healthy way and knowing that you have everything you already need inside of you. The expansion is just the icing. And I so appreciate plant medicine. I love it. I love how it opens doors for people. But there is something so powerful about opening your own door and walking through your own door and knowing inherently that you have the medicine that you get to have for yourself and share with the world. So I am going to be doing a workshop tonight if anyone wants to have a little taste of Eros energy after 11 o'clock. But I do want to leave saying this, I'm telling you all that you're sitting on the keys to your expansion, but you are the key. You are the key. And don't forget, you are the doms of your own life. Thank you so much. Have a kinky day.
Can we have you stay up here for a moment?
Yes.
One more time for Kimmy Inch.
Thank you.
So good. So good.
Thank you.
Would love to get some shares, some abundance upgrades. And I love what you do so much because I've coached a lot of relationship coaches, a lot of sex coaches, and really helping them to charge 25, 100 grand for their work. And really what I've seen, what it does in their clients of when, because I believe, and I love to market and sell things. So it's like how people show up in the bedroom is how they're showing up in life.
Yeah.
And so the context is, all right, if you're reaching new levels in the bedroom, do you think you're showing up better on your sales calls? Do you think you're showing up as a better leader on stage to your teams, right? So I would love to hear from all of you of what is an abundance upgrade that you got from Kimmy's session.
Oh my God, I would love that. That's like my love language, honestly. Did anyone get any value out of that? Yay, okay, awesome.
Anyone open to sharing? Mark, shout it out.
Just the healing power.
Great, we had a mic right here. Oh, thanks.
Just the healing power of kink and how you're so touched by watching someone unfold in front of you. I mean, it is probably one of the most beautiful things to witness that. Yeah, because you know their life is going to be different.
Yeah.
So thank you.
It is different. He's dominant, submissive. He's just living a life of choice and pleasure. It just means everything to me.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll go in the front. Maya Rose.
I really love how you talked about this experience of bringing someone into the present moment, like getting them out of their head and out of their way and out of that, sometimes we get so lost in our heads or in the future and the past, and it's the sensation of bringing yourself right back to the moment, like you are here in this moment. So I loved how you brought that up, and it just reminded me of how powerful that can be when you're having that experience of bringing you into the present moment. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
We'll take one more, Raj.
I actually got introduced to your work through Sarah Rose in the Tantra workshop, so I'm aware. But the biggest thing that I got was you have the keys to your freedom by being completely expressed sexually. You can walk around with a different energy. It shows up in business. You could literally take over the world if you're fully expressed sexually. And kink is just a small little part of it that opens you up. And hearing you talk about Malik, I had tears in my eyes just because of the healing that you did and how free he really felt after. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Raj. It means a lot.
Beautiful. So Kimmy will be running an optional workshop this evening.
No, it's not optional, actually. I can't stop. I can't stop. Just kidding, just kidding.
So it'll be at 11 p.m., so you may have some difficult choices to make, but I trust you'll make whatever decision is best for you. And give it up one more time for Kimmy Inch.
Thank you. I love you. Thanks for having me.